What's up guys, welcome back to Healthy Recipe. Today we're going to be making a beginner's recipe for kimchi. Super easy. We're going to use a pre-made pepper paste so we don't have to go through that extra step. It's going to be absolutely delicious and spicy, so let's get right to work. Alright, so this is what we're using for ingredients. I have here about 2 cups of scallions. I basically just cut it down into like 1.5 inch segments. I have about 2 cups of carrot sticks. These are hand chopped. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick, coarse. They will break down in the ferment, become soft. So I have, this is gochujang pepper paste, and this is basically the paste that is going to give a lot of the flavor to the kimchi. Some people make it from scratch. They use Asian pears, chilies, and other ingredients, but this is a really good pre-made brand that I wanted to use, so that way it simplified the process. I'll provide a link below to our Amazon affiliate store so you guys can order this if you don't know where to get it, if you want to simplify this process. I'm using about 1/3 of a cup, a 1/4 cup of salt. This is actually pickling salt. It doesn't have any iodine or anything added into it, any other chemicals. I have about a thumb-sized piece of ginger and 1 large clove of garlic. And we have 1 large Napa cabbage. We're gonna chop this down into pieces. There's a few different ways of doing kimchi. Some of them leave the leaves, the segments long ways, and then others chop it into small 1-inch pieces. We're gonna chop it into small pieces. We're using this container. I think this is 1500 milliliters, about 2,000 milliliter container. It's about 4 pints, I believe. So this is what we're using to store it in. This takes about 3 to 7 days to ferment. The way that we're doing it is a faster ferment, but you can certainly leave it for longer. After 3 to 4 days, it's done and ready to eat. If you like it a little funkier, you leave it longer. And then I have a lid for this container. These are made from mason jars, and it's got a fermentation part on top of it. This is like a chamber that allows the gases to escape without oxygen going in. You could definitely do it without this. You would just have to use a closed lid and then burp it from time to time to let some of the gases out so it doesn't explode. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get to work on this cabbage. And we're going to take the cabbage and cut it lengthwise. Just like that. And then we're going to quarter it. So we're going to cut it one more time. Like that. So we got 4 equal sized pieces. Now this part right here is the core, and we're just going to go ahead and cut that out. That I use for compost or for veg stock. Set that aside. Get that out. And now that we've done that, we're going to start chopping the cabbage in cross sections, about 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. Doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to put it in a container. We're going to go ahead and cut it all up, take it over and rinse it, and then we're at our salt and let it sit for about 2 to 3 hours. And even though that looks like a ton of cabbage and it looks like it won't fit in that container, once the salt draws the moisture, it's gonna wilt and get really small. So believe it or not, all of this cabbage it's going to reduce down to probably less than half the size it is now. Alright, so now I'm going to take this over to our sink and give it a good rinse and then come back and salt it. Alright, so now that we have rinsed our cabbage really well, we're going to go ahead and add our salt. And I know this seems like a lot of salt, but this salt is not going to stay in this. We're actually going to rinse this again to get the salt out. So this is just to extract the water and to start the breakdown process, but it will not stay in the recipe. Just kind of want to make sure that you get this salt really well, like in every leaf. You want to stir it. And it's already quickly starting to reduce in size and volume. Definitely could have used a bigger container for this, would have made it a lot easier, but this is what we have, so gonna have to make do. There'll be a lot of water coming out of the cabbage from the salt that will actually draw that out. Alright, so now we got it really good. It's got salt all over it. We're gonna let this sit at room temperature on the counter for about 3 hours, and when we come back this will have shrunk a whole bunch, and we'll go ahead and add the rest of the ingredients. Alright, so what we're gonna do, as you can see, the kimchi has reduced in size, is wilted, and it's produced a whole ton of water. Now this water is very salty, so we're going to go ahead and strain it all out. And we're just going to spray it a little bit, just give it a little light rinse to get rid of that excess salt. Nothing too heavy, we still want some on there for the fermentation process. But that's all that we're going to do to it. I'm going to put it back into our container. And now we're going to go to the next step. Alright, so now we're going to add our carrots in. Scallions. And we're going to press through our ginger. And the garlic. Also, it's going to get pressed through here. Gonna make sure that spreads through the ingredients. Now to this, we're gonna add the chili paste. I'm gonna do about 4 tablespoons. And then I'm gonna taste it and see where it's at. So that's about 4 tablespoons there. I'm gonna give it a good stir. And this is supposed to be like a red, bright color. So once we get it to that, then we're done. And this is already starting to smell phenomenal. The garlic, the fresh ginger, and that chili paste has already got its own beautiful seasoning. And this will sit on the counter. You know, you can leave it as long as you want. 4 to 7 days is the norm for a lot of people. After 4 days, you can eat it. Any longer than that, it starts becoming a little bit more funky and a little bit more sour. So it depends on how you like it. You know, leave it on. If it's your first time, try it after 4 days. If you want to try a little different, let it go a little longer and taste it again. Alright, I'm going to give it a taste now. It's delicious. I'm going to add a little bit more chili paste. Maybe about another 2 tablespoons. So total about 6 tablespoons of chili paste in there. I'm going to get it mixed really nice. I want to make sure that every little leaf and every cranny is coated with this paste. Now we got everything mixed really well. Gonna go ahead and bottle it. Alright, so here we got our mason jar. And we're going to just start putting the kimchi in it. And if I had a funnel for this, it would be a lot better, but I don't, so it's kind of the way it's going to have to be. They have these funnels that you can put for canning on top of your mason jars that makes this process a whole lot easier. And what you want to do is you want to tamper it down. See how much it shrank. When you push it down as you... This is probably going to be easier to do it this way. Alright, now we're going to push it down again. Continue adding. And we're going to try to add all of this into this jar. And we're pretty much almost done, believe it or not. Very little left. Alright, so this is the kimchi. We basically got everything into the container. Now we're going to put this airlock lid on it. It's got a grommet, and then this got a little bit of water, and it's just a fermentation lid. This will let out the gases, and it won't let any oxygen in to spoil the kimchi. So you want to make sure that this is on here good. Now this will sit on the counter for 4 to 7 days before being refrigerated, and I suggest putting one of these or something on it, so that way if this spills over, you'll get it in here and it won't get all over your counter, because there's going to be a lot of activity in here, a lot of gases going out, and this can overflow. It does a lot of times overflow. You don't want to get kimchi juice all over your counters. So basically this is the recipe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you really soon on the next one.